Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Bhavani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschata Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gauravakta Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Mukam karoti vachalam pangam langhayate giram yat kripatamaham vande Shri Gurum Vinatarinam Paramanandamadavam Shri Chaitanya Ishvara. So what was yesterday's single word summary for the chapter? Seventh chapter? What was the single word summary? Anybody remembers?
No.
Boss?
Boss. Yes, boss. Boss.
Yes, it's boss. Krishna is the boss. Okay. Yeah, quickly you can put together your name, phone number, and city from which you're joining in the chat, please. It will help us mark your attendance. So the seventh chapter was titled Jnana Vijnana Yoga. And the very first shloka begins with, here, Arjuna. Do you know that the first sense to develop in your body when you are in the mother's womb is the sense of hearing? And similarly, the last sense that leaves your body is also hearing. So even in the womb, you can hear. Do you know an example of a great devotee who heard Hari Katha when he was in the womb of his mother?
Prahlad.
Prahlad. Do you know the name of a great devotee who saw the Lord when he was inside the womb?
Parikshit.
Parikshit. So definitely the child that is developing in the womb can hear. And if the child hears Harikatha while it is in the womb, then certainly it's going to be a wonderful devotee when the child comes out. So that is what it is said, that the first sense to develop is hearing. And the last sense to leave is hearing. Do you know, at the time of death, what are we asked to recite if we know that somebody is dying?
Hare Krishna. Bhagavad Gita.
Narayana. Which one?
Bhagavad Gita.
Which chapter of the Bhagavad Gita? If yeah, you can read the Bhagavad Gita. But generally, if a person is passing away,
Ramayana also they read some.
Ramayana. Essentially, they are reading holy names of the Lord. Normally, they ask you to chant the holy names of the Lord. Why? Because that person can hear. Even though the soul is getting ready to exit the body, the person can still hear. So imagine if they can really focus on the holy names of the Lord, they can go back. And that's the connection for today's chapter, actually. So hearing is so important. Srila Prabhupada's spiritual master, His Divine Grace, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, once he was giving class in a temple in Kolkata. And usually in our culture, when you go to the temple, what do you do? Typically, what do you do if you go to the temple? What do we normally do when we go to the temple? What is our practice?
We
They
generally wash our hands and feet before we enter the temple,
Okay,
and
very nice.
then Danda Namaskara we do
We do
usually.
namaskara. Then,
And then we fold our hands and we usually ask for what we want or just say thank you.
okay. What else you do? You don't put money in the hundi? Sometimes you may purchase flowers. Sometimes you will offer archana. Correct?
Correct.
Yeah. And you will sit for a little time, at least in South India, this is a practice. If you go inside the temple, you should not just take darshan and come out. You will sit for a little while. So once when Bhakti Siddhanta Srila Prabhupada was giving class in Kolkata, so he noticed that class is going on inside the temple hall. He noticed that many people would just walk into the temple, go see the Lord, take darshan, offer some money in the hundi plate, and then they are ready to leave the temple. So one such gentleman was doing this, and Srila Prabhupada called out to him and he said, "Don't think you can see Krishna with your eyes." So what did Srila Prabhupada say? Don't think you can see Krishna with your
eyes.
eyes. So how do you see Krishna?
With mind.
The hearing.
Mind. By hearing, yes. So Prabhupada told him, you cannot see Krishna with your eyes. You have to sit down and hear. If you are hearing nicely, then you will be able to see Krishna. The more you hear about Krishna, the more you will become purified, and therefore, the more you will be able to see Krishna. So Prabhupada said, if you go in front of the deities and see the deities with your eyes, then it is just an eye massage. It is definitely good for you to take darshan, but it is philosophy that is what helps you understand what bhakti is and who is Krishna. So without hearing, you cannot understand. Therefore, Krishna begins the 7th chapter by saying, hear carefully, Arjuna. I am about to tell you a little bit more about myself. So Krishna talks about the 4 kinds of devotees who accept him, or the pious people who accept him, and 4 kinds of people who reject him. But before that, we said we all learn in different ways. Yes. Pratyaksha pramana, anumana pramana, shabda pramana. Pratyaksha pramana means you perceive something, then you believe it. Anumana pramana means you experience something, then you believe it. Shabda pramana means you hear. Hearing also helps you develop faith. So the more you hear the Bhagavad Gita, the Srimad Bhagavatam, the more you will develop faith in Krishna. It's a very simple solution. So then Krishna also talks about why we should not worship the demigods. That if we worship the demigods or the devatas, whatever they give us is going to be temporary and limited. In the sense, each demigod has a portfolio, so they cannot go beyond that portfolio. So you can't go to the education minister and ask for a loan. You have to go to the finance minister and ask for money. So the demigods are restricted in what they can give you because each of them has a portfolio. Portfolio means they run a particular department. They can only offer you what that department is authorized to offer you. So who is the only person that can actually give you moksha?
Krishna.
Krishna.
Supreme Lord Krishna.
Yeah. So if we want to go back to the spiritual world, then moksha comes from Krishna. So Krishna is also called Purushottama. Now, some of us have a challenge giving up worship of devatas. And maybe the small example will help you. So one day, a taxi driver in New York was driving his car. Driving a taxi was very new to him because for 25 years, he was driving the van that takes the dead body to the crematorium. So he is used to nobody being in the car with him except for the casket. You know, in US, the body is kept in a casket when it's transported to the cemetery grounds. So after 25 years, 30 years of being a hearse driver, it's called a hearse van, you know, HEARSE. For whatever reason, he switched his responsibilities and decided he'd become a taxi cab driver. So he picked up a passenger, taking to the airport, and he was apparently taking a different route. So suddenly the passenger from the back tapped him on the back and said, "Hey, are you not taking the wrong route?" And he got terrified because he was never, ever in a situation where somebody was talking to him from the back seat because he was so used to carrying dead bodies. He was always alone. So suddenly for him to switch from being a driver that was transporting dead bodies to the cemetery to now being a taxi driver and somebody sitting in the back seat talks to you, obviously you'll freak out. So that's what happened. He freaks out. And the passenger said, "Why did you get so scared? What is the problem?" Then he said, "Yeah, I'm not used to people. I'm not used to anybody talking to me on the back seat. Usually, you know, I transport dead bodies." So similarly, habits become hard to change. So even culturally, if we are worshipping devatas, then it becomes hard to give up the worship of devatas. It's just how we are wired. As I think somebody was asking yesterday, you know, if it is, what about if it is Kula Devata? It is just a tradition that you're following to keep the tradition alive. Okay, that is fine, but it's not necessary actually. But it's fine if giving it up will upset the family members and you want to keep the peace in the family, then yeah, you can do it. But then we really don't have to worship the demigods, because Krishna says if you worship the demigods, where are you going to go? You're going to go to Swarga Loka, where the demigods reside. Heaven is also a place that's going to get destroyed. So heaven is not your ultimate destination. So that is also very, very important for us to remember. Of course, in the very first shloka, Krishna talks about, actually, let me see if I can open that shloka for you, because it's a very interesting shloka. And if you read it backwards, in Sanskrit, that is, because of the way Sanskrit is written. So this is the first text. So I'm just sharing my screen. By the way, you can access the Bhagavad Gita online through this website called vedabase.com. I think you are able to see it now. Yes. So in this, you are able to see it? Very good. So here Krishna's Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Maya Saktamanaf Partha Yogam Yunjanmadashrayah Asamshayam Samagram Mam Yatha jnasyasi tat shrunam. If you translate the shloka, it goes as the Supreme Personality of Godhead said, now hear, O son of Pritha, how by practicing yoga in full consciousness of me, with mind attached to me, you can know me in full, free from doubt. It's a very important shloka, but we're going to go in reverse. Shrunu means to hear. Tat shrunu. Yatha jnasyasi means complete knowledge of Krishna. So Krishna himself is saying, hear carefully. I'm getting ready to talk about myself as a Supreme Lord. Asamshayam. When you hear carefully Harikatha, what will happen? Krishna is saying, all of the doubts that you have will be removed. Samagram, asamshayam samagram. Then, once your doubts are removed, what happens? Mad ashayaha. Once all your doubts are clarified as to who is really the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then what is the next natural response from you? You are going to take shelter of Krishna. So the more you hear, your faith develops in Krishna, and ultimately you end up taking shelter of Krishna. So what happens after you take shelter of Krishna? The next word here is yogam yunjan. What is yoga? There are different types of yoga, but the word yuj means to unite, to connect. When you take shelter of Krishna, what's the next natural outcome? Yoga. You begin to practice a yoga that will help you unite with him, which is the yoga Krishna has said in chapter 6 is the highest bhakti yoga. So when you practice bhakti yoga, maya sakta manaf partha, mai asakta manah, your mind becomes attached to Krishna. So this particular shloka is the very definition of Krishna consciousness. Krishna is saying, this is how you always think of me. So there is one fundamental rule that we like to remember. What is that rule? Does anybody know? The mother of all rules for us is, does anybody know what is the rule?
Is it meditation, huh?
Huh?
Is it meditation?
Meditation. Yeah, it is meditation, but what kind of meditation? What are you always supposed to do?
Chanting. Chanting.
Mahamantra.
Hmm?
Mahamantra.
Yes, you are going to chant, but what should it lead to?
Connection
Tanga
with
yoga.
God.
Surrender to Krishna.
Okay, it leads to surrender to Krishna. But the mother of all rules is always remember Krishna, never forget Krishna. So what is the mother of all
Yoga.
rules? So what is the mother of all rules?
Always remember Krishna.
And therefore,
Which is
never forget Krishna.
Krishna.
So this is called the mother and father of all rules. There are different ways in which you can remember Krishna. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Padasevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakhyam, Atmanivedanam. So Prahlad Maharaj is telling the little children, my dear children, because he's become teacher for the day. Once the teachers have gone, Prahlad would take over the school. So when he becomes a teacher, he would tell everybody, from the age of 6, you're supposed to do all of this. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Padasevanam, Marchanam, Mandanam, Dasyam, Sakhyam, Atmanivedam, until you are fully surrendered. Who's a good example of Shravanam? Who's always here?
Parikshit Maharaj.
Parikshit Maharaj.
Who's a good example of doing Kirtanam?
Prahlad Maharaj.
Chaitanya
Kirtanam
Mahaprabhu.
Vishnu.
Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? From
Kirtanam.
Bhagavad.
Kirtan.
If Parikshit Maharaj is doing Shravanam, somebody must be speaking, no? Who's doing the Kirtanam?
Shukadev Goswami.
Shukadeva Goswami is the best example of Kirtanam. Kirtanam means, what does Kirti mean?
Greatness. Pastime of Lord.
Pastime of Lord. Kirti means to praise the Lord, glorify the Lord. So by speaking about the Lord, you're glorifying the Lord. Smaranam. The best example of Smaranam is Prahlad. He's always thinking about Narayana. So like that, we have these 9 different ways in which you can always remember Krishna and never forget Krishna. Krishna also says, Vidya dadati vinayam. Because this particular chapter title is Jnana Vijnana Yoga, right? We said knowledge and wisdom. Should knowledge make you proud or should it make you humble?
Humble.
Humble.
How? How does knowledge make you humble?
Because devotees should be humble despite getting all the knowledge.
But what causes you to be humble? That's right, devotees should be humble. And it is said that full knowledge leads to humility. Why should full knowledge lead to humility?
Because they get to know the truth. They get to know the God.
Yes. What else?
Transcendental knowledge, ma'am.
Yeah, but what causes you to be humble? Why should you become humble? Because in the material world, we'll say, oh, I've got BA, MA, PhD, MHD, all that, right? We're very
You have
proud of
learned-
our education.
You have learned the scripture from a guru,
We've
the
learned
correct knowledge.
Very good. Okay, you are learning scripture from a bona fide parampara. How does that make you humble?
Here we are getting Krishna.
We are
Getting Krishna.
we're getting Krishna.
Connected to Lord.
We're connected to the Lord. You become humble because you realize who is Krishna and how you are just a speck of dust. That makes you humble. You are nothing in front of Krishna. The spiritual knowledge is unlimited. And when you try to figure out what is the unlimited, you have to accept you don't have the capacity to understand the unlimited, and that makes you humble. So humility means understanding that Krishna is the Supreme Lord and you're just somewhere one small Jivatma. You feel insignificant. And you know what Prabhupada said? In Krishna consciousness, you have to be comfortable being insignificant. You have to be comfortable being nobody. That puts you in a humble mood. When you realize whatever I'm trying to do in bhakti is so tiny, still Krishna appreciates it. No? When we do bhakti, it's not like we're doing some grand big thing. But still, Krishna magnifies it. Oh, my baby is doing bhakti. Just see how sweet she is or he is. So Krishna magnifies your bhakti, your devotional service to him, even though it is so small. We just think about it. Okay, if I'm thirsty and I want sugarcane juice, I get sugarcane juice, offer it to Krishna and give it to him, and I'll feel very happy. That sugarcane juice, everything was made by Krishna only. I'm just taking whatever Krishna gave, I'm giving it back to him. What is there to be so proud and happy about? Of course, it's the right thing to do. Everything is created by the Lord. You are just taking what is created and giving it back. So it's like the father buying you a whole bag of chocolates. And you're so happy that you got chocolates, you open the packet and give one to your father. Your father doesn't need your chocolates. But he's given it to you. But out of your gratitude, you offer it to him first. So that's the mode of a devotee. We are like a little child. We want to offer everything to Krishna, although everything belongs to him. He really doesn't need it. He is Atmaram. So, Vidya Dadati Vinayam. Real knowledge should transform you into being a humble person. But material knowledge makes you proud. So one day, someone asked Srila Prabhupada, why are you so serious all the time? Aren't devotees supposed to be joyful? Because that's the picture of devotees we always put on our slides. Joyful devotees with big smiles, nice tilak, always doing kirtan, singing, dancing, honoring Prasadam. So somebody asked Prabhupada, why are you always so serious? You're a devotee of Krishna, be joyful. Prabhupada said, when you understand really who is Krishna, when you understand the greatness of your master, naturally you will feel insignificant in front of your master. When you realize you're nothing, it makes you serious about the fact that you're nothing. Trinadapi Sunijena. You are nothing but a blade of grass. But Krishna is very clever. His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj has said that Krishna consciousness is not achieved through your sadhana. It is awarded to you by Guru and Krishna. It's not that we've done something special. But Krishna is a trickster. Once a devotee practices bhakti sincerely and with determination, he knows that the bhakta can control him. A devotee can control Krishna. What is the best example of that from Srimad Bhagavatam? The most celebrated example.
Mother Yashoda.
Mother Yashoda. What does she do to Krishna?
Vatsalya Prema.
Vatsalya Prema. She ties him up.
Bhakti.
Have you ever heard of Damodar Leela?
Yes, Mataji. Yes,
In
Mataji.
Damodar Leela, Krishna gets tied up by his mother. Imagine the Supreme Lord allowing his own devotee to tie him up. So, this is Krishna. So, he is introducing himself in chapter 7. And one more piece that I wanted to share with you before we move to chapter 8, because chapter 8 is also very important for us. So in chapter 7, Krishna is talking about that both the material energy and spiritual energy all come from him. Both matter and spirit emanate or originate with Krishna. So there are 3 O's that we talk about in reference to Krishna. One is omnipotent. What does omnipotent mean?
Eternal.
Present everywhere.
Huh? omnipotent. Krishna is omnipotent.
Sarvantaryami.
All powerful, ma'am.
That he knows everything that is here.
He's
All powerful.
powerful.
He can do anything. Potency means power. Yeah. So omnipotent is a word used to reference Krishna. That is, he can do anything. He can be tied up by his devotee. He can also use his Sudarshan Chakra to cut off Shishupal's head without a drop of blood falling on the floor. Then one more O that we use for Krishna is omnipresent. Omnipresent means what?
He is present everywhere.
Present
He is
everywhere.
present everywhere. We just said, right? There are 3 Vishnus. Without the Vishnus, nothing will exist. You will not exist. The planets will not exist. The Brahmanda will not exist. The universe itself will not exist without Krishna's presence. So he is omnipresent. Then the third O is omniscient. What does that mean? Somebody gave that answer first. He knows everything.
Sorry, ma'am, I got disconnected.
Yeah. Omnipotent, omnipresent, and omniscient.
What is the third one?
Omniscient.
Okay.
Omniscient. He knows everything.
Omnipresent is everywhere, no, ma'am?
Yes.
Okay. And this chapter is which verse, ma'am? What you told earlier, you said this is the most important one. Chapter
7.1.
point one, first verse only.
First verse of 7th chapter.
Thank you.
Now, the word Vishnu means who is present everywhere. So that's one of the meanings of the name of the Lord, Vishnu. So we said he is omnipresent, he is everywhere. So once Krishna and Arjuna go to a forest, it's very dark. They come to the edge of a well and there is a boulder at the base of the well. Krishna asks Arjuna, just move that boulder a little bit. So Arjuna moves the boulder and he sees a small ant with a grain of rice in its mouth. And he was thinking, how great is the Lord? Even for the smallest of the creatures, the Lord makes sure that it gets some food. For the largest of creatures like the elephant or the whale, the Lord makes sure that there is sufficient food. That is the greatness of Krishna. Since he has created us, he can supply us all the food that we need to survive. We don't have to work too hard for food. So the question is, after knowing all of this, why some people, actually not some people, why the majority of the people don't surrender to Krishna? Because of their desires, selfish desires. Because they come under the control of the 3 gunas, Sattva Gun, Rajagun, and Tama. So remember, what was the father or mother of all rules?
Always remember Krishna. Never forget.
Not to forget Krishna.
Always
Not
remember Krishna.
Now, what happens, the nectar of devotion, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, written by Srila Rupa Goswami, says, in that particular book, he says, forgetfulness of Krishna causes fear. If you forget Krishna, what does it cause?
Fear.
Fear.
Fear. That means the devotee of Krishna is fearless. No matter how much trouble you may be going through, a devotee never loses faith in Krishna. They know that Krishna will always protect them.
Yes.
So forgetting Krishna causes fear. Was Prahlad fearful?
No.
He was thrown off a cliff. He was given poison. He was, what is that? Elephants were sent to try and kill him. He was thrown into fire. Prahlad was fearless. Why?
Believe.
Because he's
He was
felt
always remembering
Chanted Hari.
Krishna. So when you always remember Krishna, you cannot come under the control of Maya. So Krishna is telling us in chapter 7 how even our weakness can be converted into a strength. So much so, Kunti Devi, when the war is over and everything is done, she is actually praying to the Lord. Those prayers are very, very famous because she says, "My dear Lord, now that we are victorious, now that Yudhishthira has been enthroned as the king, you please keep sending me difficulties. Because I am afraid that if you don't send me difficulties, I will forget you." Because everything, all obstacles are moved, right? Yudhishthira is the king. They're going to lead very opulent life, being in the palace. So Kunti Devi is afraid, so afraid that she's going to forget Krishna, that she asks Krishna to send more troubles my way. The second thing she asks Krishna is that, I'm so attached to my family, I'm so attached to my sons. Please also remove this attachment so that I can prepare myself to come back to you. So for a devotee, His Grace Chaitanya Charan Prabhu says, when a devotee encounters difficulties in life, they tell the problem how big Krishna is. They don't go to Krishna and tell Krishna, this problem is so big. Just think about it for a minute here. You are thinking about your problem, and here is Krishna. Who is bigger and more powerful? And is it the problem or is it Krishna?
Krishna.
Krishna. So why do you want to go to Krishna and tell him you've got such a huge problem? Rather, you tell your problem, you see, my Lord is so huge. My Lord is all powerful. You are nothing in front of my Supreme Lord. So do not tell Krishna how big your problem is. Tell your problem how big Krishna is. That Krishna can do anything and remove obstacles from your path. Towards the end of chapter 7, which sets the stage for chapter 8, Krishna concludes by saying, anybody who remembers him at the time of death, or rather, we should practice remembering him at the time of death. If we can remember him at the time of death, then we will go back to him for sure. So today's chapter is all about remembering Krishna at the time that we die. If we don't remember Krishna at the time of death, what happens to us? That is what we're going to look at. So what is the chapter title for chapter 8? Anybody remember? What's the title of the chapter in the poster?
Akshara Brahma Yoga.
Akshara Brahma Yoga. Okay. And what's the single word summary?
Insurance.
Insurance. So chapter 7 summary was the boss. Who's the boss? It's Krishna. Now, does your boss who's asking you to work for him, your boss offered you a job in chapter 3. I hope you remember. Krishna said work has to be performed as a sacrifice for the pleasure of Vishnu. So he's offered you a job in chapter 3. In chapter 7, he's telling you what kind of boss he is. Very merciful. And he's going to tell you today he's even more merciful, provided you remember him.
We do our duty.
You do our duties. That's right. So the single word summary for today's chapter is insurance. What kind of insurance? LIC?
Protection, ma'am.
Spiritual insurance.
Spiritual.
So chapter 8 begins with Arjuna having some doubts. Are you surprised that Arjuna has so many questions? Actually, we have more questions than Arjuna because we don't understand very much of Bhagavad Gita. So Arjuna is a great devotee of the Lord, but still even he has questions. So in the first 6 chapters, Krishna has talked about Karma Yoga. In the last shloka of the 6th chapter, Krishna introduced Bhakti Yoga and he said Bhakti Yoga is the highest and the topmost. In the 7th chapter, Krishna tells us who he is and who should worship him
The Lord.
and how he should be worshipped. Therefore, who should we perform bhakti to? In 7th chapter, Krishna says bhakti should be performed towards Krishna. It should be offered to Krishna. Krishna says, if you do bhakti to me, you will come back to me. If you do bhakti to the devatas, you'll go to the devatas. After you have exhausted your pious credits with the devatas, in the Bhakti Vaibhav class, we were, I think in the Vaishnava Sadachar class, we were talking about something here. Even the devatas have a specific time period that they stay in Svargaloka as long as they have their duties and responsibilities. The minute the devatas' pious credits expire, you know what happens? Uruvashi or Ramba just kicks them out. Immediately, they're just kicked out of Svargaloka and sent back to the middle planetary system like Bhuloka. So even the demigods don't have an eternal reign in Svargaloka. The minute their credits expired, they were occupying very important post. That's it, one kick and you're out. So the Prabhu who was taking the class was saying, oh, Urvashi and all, they are considered great dancers. They are dancing for the pleasure of the demigods. So one day they're dancing for the demigods, next day they're saying, sorry, your time's up, get out. So that's what happens in where the devatas reside. But anyway, Krishna is saying, you don't have to worry. If you do bhakti towards me, once you come back to me, you don't have to return again. So Arjuna's question here is, what's the guarantee that if I remember you, you will come to take me? So the question is, how do you go back to Krishna? So death is our final exam. Every day we are preparing for death. From the time that we came out of the womb, the clock has started ticking as to when we are going to die. So since this is our final test or exam to go back, so obviously Arjuna is thinking, are you sure bhakti is enough? Shouldn't there be something a little bit more difficult test for us to come back to you? Bhakti seems to be very simple and easy to do. So how, Krishna, do I come back to you? You are saying, think of me in death. So here, adhiyajñah katam kotra dehesmin madhusudana prayana kale cha katham nyeyo siniyatatmabhi. Arjuna is asking Krishna. Because in the 7th chapter, Krishna has concluded the chapter by talking about Adiyagnya and Adideva and Adhyatmika. So who is the Lord of sacrifice and how does he live in the body, O Madhusudana? And how can those engaged in devotional service know you at the time of death? So essentially Arjuna is asking, is it possible to remember you, Krishna, at the time of death? And who is this Lord of sacrifice that you talked about, who is residing within each one of us? So our entire life is filled with questions. Why is this happening? You know, the why and the what and the how. But what distinguishes a man from an animal is that you ask really deep questions that are life-changing questions. So here Krishna is also asking, Arjuna is asking a very deep question. Athado Brahma Jignasa, always being inquisitive and seeking clarity from the acharyas or guru. So Arjuna's question is, how can I come back to you at the time of death? What is the guaranteed way by which I can come back? And immediately Krishna answers him. In Shloka 5, Krishna says, Antakale cha mameva smaran muktva kalevaram. Arjuna, something happened. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes, Mataji.
Okay. Something wiped me out. Yaf prayati samadbhavam yati nastyatra samshayah. And whoever at the end of his life quits his body, remembering me alone, at once attains my nature. Of this, there is no doubt. So what is Krishna saying? Yeah, definitely. You only have to practice doing one thing. What is that practicing doing one thing?
Always remember Krishna.
Yes. So Krishna says, the only thing you have to practice is, you have to practice remembering. If you practice remembering me all your life, then it should not be difficult to remember me at the time of death. So Prabhupada would use this very simple analogy to explain to us. You know, a soldier, should he practice one day before the war or should he practice every single day of his life?
Every single day of his life.
Why?
Practice only, you can become perfect.
Okay, that's very nice. But why should he practice every day?
He will forget his skills if he doesn't practice.
He will forget the skills if he doesn't practice. Very nice. What else could be the reason? That he has to be ready every day.
He's mentally fixed that he should be fighting one day.
He should be mentally prepared to fight. Okay. But why should he be ready every day?
Because when the war comes, he doesn't know.
Exactly. He does not know when a war will start. Similarly, for us human beings, we do not know when death will come, but all our life we should prepare. Similarly, for a student, should they practice study for their exam a day before? Okay, so just like even a student, while preparing for an exam, if he studies one day before, the chances of him passing his exams or even doing well in his exam has been reduced. So even a student has to study every day if they want to get good marks in their exam. So just like a soldier has to practice every day, he may never ever shoot his rifle in the war. There may never be a war for a soldier. It's possible. But still he has to be ready. But for us, death is certain. Death is certain. We cannot escape death. So we have to be prepared for death every single day of our life. And since Krishna is saying you have to remember him at the time of death, that if you remember him at the time of death, then he will come to get you. But it's not going to be easy for us to remember Krishna suddenly one day, because you don't know how death is coming to you. I mean, are you going to die in an accident? Are you going to die through a disease or through an earthquake? We really don't know. So the question is then, how do you remember Krishna all the time? We've already covered this, but it's worth repeating it again. Your body, mind, and intelligence has to be absorbed in Krishna, at least for a few hours a day. So you have to engage the senses in the service of Krishna. You should read Shastra. And for your mind, you should always be doing Harinam Japa. So in Shloka 6, Krishna says, now in Shloka 5, Krishna has said, if you remember me at the time of death, definitely you'll come back. I mean, Krishna is not saying maybe. He's saying you will go back to him. But in case you don't remember Krishna, you remember something else, what happens? Yam yam vapi smaran bhavam tyajatyante kalevaram tam tam evaiti kaunteya sada tad bhava bhavitaha. Whatever state of being one remembers when he quits his body, O son of Kunti, that state he will attain without fail. So here Krishna is telling Arjuna, you have two choices. If you remember me, you will come back to me. If you remember something else, then that is exactly what you will get. We spoke about Bharat Maharaj, who decided to give up his kingdom and go into the forest. Somehow or the other, a deer was crying out for help because it was pregnant. It saw a lion approach or whatever, tiger approach its way, and it had a miscarriage. So since the mother had died, Bharat Maharaj decided to take care of the kid. And so Bharat Maharaj becomes very attached. Now remember, why did he come to the forest? To meditate on Krishna. But now he was meditating on the deer. Who will take care of the deer? So he was quite caught up. So at the time of death, because he was thinking about the deer, he entered a deer's body in his next life. But because Krishna was still so kind and merciful upon him, he happened to enter the body of a deer in an ashram of sages. So whatever state of being one remembers when he quits his body, O son of Kunti, that state he will attain without fail. So if you don't remember Krishna, then you will get whatever it is that was on your mind. So like that, you have to be so careful. So death is literally the final exam for us. We do not know when it's going to come, but we have to be prepared all the time. It's very difficult to do. It's very difficult to even materially be prepared for death, because you're always living every day like as if you're going to be alive tomorrow. You go to bed today thinking you're going to be awake tomorrow, but we don't know. what could happen. So it's better to practice from a very young age. So our entire life is preparation to meet Krishna at the time of death. If we don't have Krishna as a priority, then you will go wherever it is that your mind takes you. Now you could say, what if I forget? What if I get into an accident and get into a coma? How am I going to remember Krishna? It's not a problem. If you've practiced all your life remembering Krishna, and for whatever reason, you're not able to think of Krishna at the time of death, but you've been practicing, then Krishna will remember you. Unlike in an exam, sometimes you can study really hard and go completely blank when you see the paper. But that doesn't happen. Even if you go blank due to whatever reason, Krishna will remember you, even if we forget. But the most important thing is, why do we want to take the risk? Better practice now, right? It's better for us to practice now. Now is the time to practice. So now Krishna is going to talk about different ways in which we're going to die, but we're not going to cover those shlokas. You can go to Veda base and read those shlokas. Those shlokas are not important for us because it does not apply to devotees. So the question is, how can you attain the Supreme? Why do you want to attain the Supreme? And what will you get after attaining the Supreme? So Krishna is telling us here, Ananya Cheta Satatam Yomam Smarati Nityashaha Tasyaham Sulabhav Partha Nitya Yuktasya Yoginaha. For one who always remembers me without deviation, I am easy to obtain, O son of Pritha, because of his constant engagement in devotional service. So what is Krishna asking you to do? If you're always engaged in devotional service, then it is easy to remember Krishna all the time, and therefore it is easy to attain Krishna at the time of death. Mam upetya punarjanma dukkha layama shashvatam napnuvanti mahatmanaha samsiddhim paramam gataha. Why do you want to go to Krishna? Because this place is not the place for you. This is not your permanent home. So Krishna is saying, after attaining me, the great souls who are yogis in devotion never return to this temporary world, which is full of miseries because they have attained the highest perfection. So Krishna is saying, this place where we are living is called Dukkhalayam Ashashvatam. Dukkhalayam means it's a place full of miseries. Ashashvatam means not only is it a place of misery, but it is temporary. So why you want to go back to Krishna? Because this is not the right place for you. Okay, why do you want to go to the spiritual world? Brahma bhuvana lokaha punaravartino arjuna mam upetya tu kaunteya punarjanmana vidyate. From the highest planet in the material world down to the lowest, all are places of misery wherein repeated birth and death take place. But one who attains to my abode, O son of Kunti, never takes birth again. So again, Krishna is emphasizing in this chapter that if you go back to Krishna, you will not make the mistake of coming back. But even Brahma has to die because he is a Jiva. So if you look at the 14 planetary systems, this list tells you in which planetary system who is residing. In the Satyaloka, Lord Brahma is residing. In the Tapoloka, all of the rishis are residing, including the Sanat Kumaras. Janaloka, the Prajapatis are there. Prajapatis are the those who are responsible for procreation. Maharloka, Bhrigumuni and other saints reside in Maharloka. In Svargaloka, all the Devatas are. In Bhuvarloka, our ancestors, if they have not received a body and they are waiting to get their next body, or for whatever reason, if they have become Rakshasas or ghosts, what is the place they go to? It is called Bhuvarloka. Bhurloka means human beings, where on the earthly realm. Then you have Atala, Vitala, Suthala, Talatala, Mahatala, Rasatala, and Patala. The Atala Loka, Asuras live. There it is a lot of intoxication. Then in Vitala, again Asuras, but all the ghosts and goblins who accompany Lord Shiva, they reside there. Sutala, Bali Maharaj. Talatala, again there is a Maya Danava demon who resides there. Mahatala, where all the Nagas live, the snakes. Rasatala, Daityaha. And then of course Vasuki in the Patal Lok. So here is another picture of just one single universe. Like this, there are millions and trillions of universes. So in this Brahma Jyoti, you can see at the bottom of the ocean, Garbhodakashaya Vishnu is there. From Garbhodakashaya Vishnu's navel comes this very large lotus flower. On top of that lotus flower is Lord Brahma. And the other planetary systems are in that stem that is connecting to that lotus flower. So on the right hand side, this is a typical Brahmanda. And each Brahmanda is covered by Panchabhutas and the subtle elements. So there are 8 coverings. And each covering is 10 times greater or thicker than the previous. So it is called Anda because like an eggshell in which all of us are living. And now to the left, you will see the spiritual world. You can see here Karana ocean. Right? This is Garbhodakshaya ocean that is within one Anda. But all these Andas are floating in Karana ocean. This is Karanodakshaya Vishnu who actually creates. Beyond the Karana ocean is the Brahma Jyoti. And if you go beyond the Brahma Jyoti, you will come to the Vaikuntha Loka. And then beyond the Vaikuntha Loka, you will come to Goloka Dham. So in Goloka Dham is where Shri Radha Krishna reside. In Vaikuntha Loka, it's Lakshmi Narayana. And there are millions and trillions of Vaikuntha Loka. So you can see so many little circles here, right? So it's not just one Vaikuntha planet. Just like there are millions and trillions of Brahmandas, there is probably trillions times the size Vaikuntha planets. So each Vaikuntha planet has a Lakshmi Narayana. Sometimes it's Lakshmi Narsimha, sometimes it's Lord Ram with his consort Sita. So different Vaikuntha planets you can enter. Of course, if you want to serve Krishna personally, then you have to enter Golok Vrindavan. So what is the reason you want to go to the spiritual world? Because you want to go and serve Krishna. That is the only reason you want to enter the spiritual. You want to go back and be with Krishna. Avyakto kshara ityuktaha tamahu paramam gatim yam prapyana nivartante tadhama paramam mama. That which the Vedantas describe as unmanifest and infallible, that which is known as a supreme destination, that place from which having attained it one never returns, that is my supreme abode. So Krishna is telling you what the spiritual world looks like. The spiritual world always existed. The spiritual world is considered as a supreme destination by acharyas. And once you enter that spiritual world, Krishna is again and again guaranteeing us, we don't have to worry, we will never come back. In the sense, once you have experienced separation from him, you don't want to make that mistake of being separated from Krishna again and again. It is actually said, when you enter the spiritual world, Krishna comes running to hug you and embrace you and ask you, why did you stay away for so long? What took you so long to come back to me? Why didn't you come back earlier? So essentially, we have to do Krishna bhakti without any expectations from Krishna. And bhakti should be performed continuously. We should not go to Krishna and say, you do something for me, then I will do more and more for you. So your prayers to Krishna cannot be, my dear Lord, you please do this for me, then I will be happy. Essentially, you're demanding Krishna to please you first. So you are ordering Krishna to please you first. A devotee does not want to order Krishna to resolve their silly little problems. So we should not demand that Krishna fix our problems, because we created our own problems. So also, we should not tell the Lord, I will only do bhakti when I am free, when I am old, when I have time, when my children grow up, when my grandchildren have come. So you cannot postpone your bhakti to a time that is convenient for you. So just let us say you know someone who is a VVIP, you know them personally, and you invite them to your child's wedding. And if he shows up, you know how busy he is and how impossible it is for him to come to your child's wedding. But still, if he comes, you will be so pleased. So similarly, no matter what happens, you should find time for Krishna. Actually, if you find time for Krishna, then Krishna will expand time for you. So how else are you going to express your love for him if you don't spend time with him? You can't tell somebody that you love them and not make time for them, right? How will your relationship with Krishna become strengthened if you call him once in a while? So you have to practice bhakti every day. That means you need to chant more rounds. You need to find the time to hear Bhagavad Gita, to hear Bhagavatam, to come and attend the morning program that we will have for level 2. You have to make a commitment to Krishna. So if you don't commit to Krishna, then why should he come for you when you want him? Yeah. So this kind of continuous bhakti, uninterrupted bhakti, is actually done by Mahatmas. They are constantly thinking of Krishna. So, but then this place is a place of misery. So spirituality does not mean you will go to heavenly planets. It means you're practicing spirituality to go back to God. So how can one perform bhakti? Very simple ways. You offer bhoga to the Lord. So you see a nice plate arranged very nicely with chapati, sabji, some water, some buttermilk, some sweet. You put tulsi leaves in each of them. Make sure you have a separate plate and bowls and cups for Krishna. It should not be used for your personal purposes. It should be a separate set of plates and cups and spoons for Krishna. And that should be only his plate. You cannot use it for anybody else. So this is how we lovingly offer whatever we cook to Krishna every day. Bhakti Devi, another name of Bhakti Devi is Tulasi Maharani. Anybody who worships Tulasi Devi every day will certainly get Krishna Bhakti. Will certainly get Krishna Bhakti. So every day we have to worship Tulasi Devi simply by offering her a ghee lamp, offering her obeisances, offering her some water. And in this way, Krishna also becomes very pleased when we worship Tulsi Devi. So in Krishna's mind, what is pure devotion? So in this 28th shloka, Krishna is saying, Vedeshu yajneshu tapassu chaiva daneshu yat punya phalam pratishtam atyeti tat sarvam idam viditva yogi param sthanam upaiti chadyam. A person who accepts the path of devotional service is not bereft of the results derived from studying the Vedas, performing sacrifices, undergoing austerities, giving charity, or pursuing philosophical and fruitive activities. Simply by performing devotional service, he attains all these, and at the end he reaches the supreme eternal abode. What is Krishna asking you to do? If you do bhakti, Krishna is saying, it is as good as you have studied the Vedas. You've done a lot of sacrifices. You have undergone a lot of penances. You have given maximum charity. You understand philosophy. So simply by doing bhakti, you get the results of the other paths also. This is Krishna saying it. So you don't have to separately study the Vedas. You don't have to separately do dhyana yoga. Simply by doing bhakti yoga, you get the results of other yogic paths as well. So there is no need to do any separate endeavor. So in essence, chanting, hearing, worshipping Tulsi Devi, doing some services in the temple regularly, all of this will help us go back to Krishna. And once we go back to Krishna, we need not worry, we will never come back again. Many devotees ask this question, but what if, what if I'm such a fool, I come back again? So Krishna himself is giving you the guarantee. So what was the single word summary in this chapter? Insurance. The insurance policy that Krishna is giving you is that if you practice all your life remembering him, then at the time of death, it should be very easy for you to remember Krishna. And that's the insurance. All you have to do is remember Krishna, and Krishna comes and picks you up. That's all you have to do. Guaranteed. So this is the spiritual insurance that your boss is ready to give you. But he wants something from you in return. He wants your heart. So if we are ready to give our hearts to Krishna and surrender to him, then Krishna is there for us at the time of death. So one couple, married couple, entered the spiritual world. They went to Vaikuntha Loka. And they started asking questions. You know, is everything, they saw all kinds of fruits, all kinds of opulent jewelry, all kinds of opulent foods. They were asking, we can take this, we can take this, we can take this. And somebody in the spiritual world told them, yeah, of course you can take all of it. Whatever you want, you can take. So the man turns around and scolds his wife. He said, why didn't you bring me to the path of bhakti earlier? We could have reached here much earlier. Why did you delay it till we were old? So we should not delay anything. We should just completely submerge ourselves in Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. All right. Any questions on this particular chapter? You can go and read just for your own information. What does Krishna say about dying at different times of the day, where you go, what happens to you, will you come back, will you not come back? All that. It's there in chapter 8. Okay. All right. Any questions? No questions? So you're thinking, is this insurance policy valid? It is valid. So bhakti is superior, Krishna is the topmost. And Krishna has told you now how to worship him. So the mother of all rules is always remember Krishna, never forget Krishna. If you can follow this simple instruction, then you're guaranteed to go back home after this life. You don't have to wait. You don't have to worry. Okay. So there are no doubts, no questions today? All good?
Ma'am, the prasad you said, no, we'll give it to Krishna and his plate.
Yes.
Now that we take it, we put it into a different, offer in hand or put it in a different plate and have it, or
Yeah, so the plate that you have offered to Krishna as bhoga, once you take it out of the altar, so let us say you've made some buttermilk and you've given that cup of buttermilk to Krishna. That buttermilk you will add with the rest of the buttermilk that you have made. So that whole pot becomes prasad.
prasad.
So
Mix it with water.
similarly, you'll keep a small bowl of sambar or sabji for Krishna. You take it and add it to the pot in which you've cooked it. Then that whole pot will become prasadam. And then you can serve it to all of the family members as prasadam. So it's a very simple process. It's not that only what is in the plate is prasadam. Once you mix it with the rest of the items that are there in the pots that you had cooked it in, everything becomes prasadam.
Thank you.
Okay, very good. Okay, one question is, what if we do bhakti for some time and then we lose faith in Krishna at some stage? Well, then you will have to wait to pick it up in your next life, I suppose, or wait for the intervention of Guru in this life to help you. So even if you lose faith in Krishna, Krishna does not forget you. Okay, how do we engage our senses in serving Krishna? So you can use your hands and legs to clean the temple, to make garlands in the temple, to do so many different services. There are so many different cooking services, serving. You can also purchase things and offer it to Krishna in the temple so that prasadam can be, annadan can be done for those who need it. You can use your funds to worship the cows, take care of the cows nicely, because Krishna is very fond of his cows. It pleases him very much. Then you can use your eyes to take darshan of Krishna. You can use your ears to hear Harikatha. You can use your mouth to preach, to speak about Krishna, and also to honor prasadam. So in this way, everything is being used to serve Krishna. Even the flowers that are, and tulsi leaf that is offered at the lotus feet of Krishna can be, you can take the smell of those flowers that are offered. So that way your nose is also engaged in the service of Krishna. Is Guru compulsory for bhakti, for Krishna bhakti? Yes. Because without Guru, there's no Krishna. Because somebody has to write a recommendation letter and introduce you to Krishna. Who's going to do that except the Guru? So if you want to meet the Prime Minister, will you say, I will just do something phenomenal, so much so that the Prime Minister cannot disregard me? Or is it easier for you to meet the Prime Minister if you know somebody else who knows somebody else who knows the Prime Minister? You have to be something extraordinary to get the Prime Minister's attention on your own. But if you are just an average citizen looking to meet the Prime Minister, then you need connections. So Guru is your connection to Krishna. Because on our own, it's going to be very difficult for us to attract the attention of Krishna, because our bhakti may not be that intense or that pure. But the minute Guru tells Krishna, here is a wonderful devotee, please accept him. Actually, the Guru will tell Radharani that, my dear Radharani, please engage this devotee in the services of your beloved. He's a nice devotee. Then Srimati Radharani and Krishna cannot refuse. So essentially, Guru is the via medium for you. So it's easier to go back to Krishna with the help of Guru than to try to do it on your own. It's almost impossible. Okay. All right. What is the reason where you feel Krishna, his presence in our life, but there is not smile or happiness in your face? I did not understand. So you are saying if you're practicing bhakti for some time, then you should be a naturally happy person because you're at peace and you're feeling blissful. But when you say you're not experiencing happiness outside, what does that mean? You don't need happiness outside. You're only looking for happiness within you. Are you trying to say that you are happy, but others think you are unhappy? Is that what you're saying? If you're happy internally, then what is the challenge? So within you're feeling peace, but if you're feeling peace in your mind, where is the unhappiness or thing coming from then externally? Okay. I'm not sure I fully understood the question. So you're saying everything is going well, you're happy, you're peaceful. But externally, you're not experiencing that same thing. Is that what you're saying? Or is your question? Okay. Okay, if internally you're feeling peaceful, but externally, materially, if you mean things are not going your way, that is, you leave it to Krishna. There's nothing to worry about that. If internally you're connected to Krishna and your bhakti to Krishna is quite deep, then materially, if things don't go in the direction that you may have anticipated, or there are challenges or troubles, then you just pray to Krishna. If you're looking for intervention, then you can just pray to Krishna. If you're already surrendered to Krishna, then you need not worry because you're anyway in the safest hands. Krishna always takes care of his devotees. There's nothing to worry about. Okay. So externally, things may not go as per plan, as per your plan or your desire. You should just tolerate. But internally, if you're at peace with yourself because you've got Krishna in your life, then there's really nothing for you to worry. Okay. Guru means there is a formal relationship through what is called Diksha. And in that Diksha process, you will receive a mantra. For us in ISKCON, it is the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. But since you're listening to Premanand Maharaj in Vrindavan, his pravachans are really very nice. He also asks you to do namajap, to avoid eating meat, to avoid eating onion and garlic, to give up all bad habits. So in a way, if you're following his instructions, or if you've already started following his instructions, then that's really good. But then guru means there has to be mantra given, okay, through a Diksha ceremony. And I know Premanand Maharaj also gives Diksha. So you have to find out what is his requirements, what are his expectations of his disciples, and you can prepare yourself that way. But you will have to go to Vrindavan because Maharaj does not leave Vrindavan. He is like a kshetra sannyas, once he is attached to a place, he's not going to leave it. So you may have to travel to Vrindavan and get some answers. Yes, but otherwise it's nice. You can follow Acharya's instructions. That's really nice. Yes, for anybody who did not get the answers that they were looking for, you can connect with me personally. Please send a WhatsApp message to me. I'll be happy to answer you.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
But Premananda Maharaj is also saying, no, onion and garlic is strictly a word for only sannyasis. The others who are like normal devotees, it is not necessary that you should avoid. I heard one.
See, you have to be very careful. That is the problem of watching videos, especially shorts. We don't know who edited it and what they cut out. So it's a little difficult for me to comment to you on that. But he has clearly said, for those who want to go back to Krishna, they have to give up onion and garlic. There is no two ways about it. If you want to become a Krishna Bhakt, see, you have to understand the context in which Maharaj is making certain comments. So for example, if you are regularly listening to Premanand Maharaj, then you also know he says, especially when people who are in the army or in the military come to meet him, their fundamental concern is food. How can they get sattvic food? And in one of another conversations that Maharaj had with other spiritualists that I heard, in that particular conversation, Maharaj specifically says, when you are on the battlefield and you're preparing yourself to fight and getting yourself ready to fight, at that time, food should not be your topmost priority. So at that time, Maharaj tells them that you only chant, because in order to fight, you have to have Rajasic Bhav. If you are looking to eat only sattvic food, if you are only consuming sattvic food as a soldier, you will not want to fight. The tendency to fight will disappear from you. So you have to understand the maturity with which Maharaj is giving instructions. So we should not selectively use one or two sentences and decide for ourselves, this is what we are going to follow because I have heard this great person in Vrindavan say this. You have to understand the whole picture.
Somebody asked him this question, so he gave the answer like,
But then once you take guru, you cannot take onion and garlic. So Maharaj is not interested in simply disturbing people's lives until and unless they have a deeper understanding. The more you get deeper into scriptures, the more you recognize the importance of giving up onion and garlic. Onion and garlic are not sattvic. If they are not considered sattvic, how will you offer that to Krishna? You cannot offer onion and garlic to Krishna as bhoga. Maharaj has also said you have to offer bhoga to Krishna. So now what are you going to do? Which instruction you are going to follow? So many people are not ready to follow it. So unless you get deeper into scriptures, you have to remember Maharaj is also reaching out to general public. So he's trying to get them away from alcohol, unrestricted affairs, especially that is going on with the youngsters, pornography. So he's trying to tackle many different subjects as best as he can, keeping the context of different moods. So we have to understand some of these instructions in the context in which it is given. So Maharaj never said eating meat is acceptable. But at the same time, if a soldier has asked that question, he has said, do not worry. So you have to understand the context in which some of these questions and answers are given. Okay, if you truly want to practice bhakti, then you have to follow the instructions. If you're not Maharaj's disciples and if he's just answering a general public question, he can say that. Okay, so my question to you is, if you're saying Premanand Maharaj says this, then there are 10 more Maharajas that say the exact opposite. So you have to decide for yourself, what is the reason certain foods are considered not acceptable and offerable to Krishna? You can go to any temple. Go and ask Premanand Maharaj himself, when he offers bhoga, when they cook for Krishna, do they put onion and garlic? If the answer is no, then that answers your full question itself that you asked.
That may be no only, no, Mataji.
Huh?
That may be no only.
That means there is a difference. So has Maharaj ever said, offer onion and garlic prepared foods as bhoga to the Lord? Has he ever said that?
No.
He has always said that your food habits should be clean. So again, we have to be very careful. And that is why questions should be asked even in classes to seek clarification. Different people may be in different mood, and Maharaj is sensing the mood of the person and accordingly responding to the question. So onion and garlic are considered tamasic. Maharaj has also said you have to be in the Shuddha Sattva Gun to reach Krishna. How are you going to get to Shuddha Sattva Gun if you are consuming things that you're not supposed to consume? So again, you have to reconcile different answers being given to figure out, okay, what is the right answer for you? Maharaj has also said that if you're in Vrindavan, if you're a Vrajavasi, you can chant Radharani's name. But the scriptures say the Kali Yuga, actually, if you hear Maharaj, he has also said, chant whatever name you are attracted to. Many times he has said that. Again, he is sensing the mood of that person and responding accordingly. But the Kali Yuga mantra is the Mahamantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama. In Vrindavan, maybe the rule is different, where they chant Radhe Radhe. Okay, what is the difference between Sattvic food and Jain food? Sattvic food means no onions, no garlic, no mushroom, no masoor dal. And there may be a few more that I'm not able to remember. Jain food means they don't eat anything that grows underground. So no potatoes, no carrots, no ginger, etc. Yeah. Yeah, sattvic food is good for your consciousness. Because, see, if we want to reach that stage of completely being non-violent and compassionate towards all jivatmas, then sattvic food is necessary. If your particular profession requires you to be aggressive or fight, there may be exceptions. But then you also hear there are many great wrestlers in India. They don't consume meat. They are vegetarians. Still they are healthy, fit, all of that. So there are certain categories of foods are considered tamasic or rajasic. So if you are practicing spirituality, then slowly these foods you should avoid. Yeah, tea, coffee also should be avoided because they are addictive. They are considered to be intoxicants. So yes. So I would always say it is better to go to a physical place where you are able to hear question and answers and you're able to get guidance than to solely rely on videos and pravachan. Although that's a nice start, you definitely have the nice habit of hearing from scriptures and hearing from Babajis and Maharaj. That's nice. But you also need a place for association. You need to be in the company of devotees, then only you will progress very fast. Bhakti is not meant to be performed alone. It's a group activity. So, yes. Yeah, thank you for the nice questions. It gave me an opportunity to clarify a few things. All right. Okay, thank you very much. Vancha kalpadarobhyascha kripasindubhyevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srila Gurudev ki jai, Shri Ji ki jai. Hare Krishna, thank you very much. Devotees, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna
Hare
Mataji.
Krishna Mataji,
Hare
thank you
Bol,
so
Hare
much.
Krishna.
Hari Bol.